This is the Effing One podcast with Adam and Luke.
As we talk everything Formula One motor racing.
G'day, welcome to Effing One Podcast, Australia's best, only Formula One podcast. Have we bothered to look that up yet, Luke?
Never.
After the glitz and glamour of Monaco on the French Riviera, where Dan, the personality Ricciardo, enjoyed some redemption, we headed to Canada for what was a return to a snooze fest. It was Sebastian Fingerboy Vettel qualified on pole and took the checkered flag, and a little bit earlier than expected, a few laps earlier.
Too soon.
A blessing, really, because we fell asleep. Valtteri, the other Finn, no idea how to overtake Bottas second, and Mad Max, I'm going to headbutt you, Verstappen third. To get all the inside info, we need to chat to a man that spent all last week after the race volunteering with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. What's wonderful work you did with those guys. Welcome back, big fella.
Probably too much mounting.
You are very good at mounting. I'm sure those horses got really sick of seeing you around the rear. Good to see you've showered, you've shaved, and you're straight into your next outfit, your Napoleon uniform, which is a perfect replica from the Battle of Waterloo. You are a history buff, and your attention to detail, you look fantastic, Luke.
Thank you.
I'm going to be honest, it's a little bit small on you, though.
Well, Napoleon was a very short man.
Is it 5 foot? Not even.
I always buy a lot of costumes thinking that I'm going to lose weight, and it didn't quite work out.
No.
I've done the opposite.
Yep, you're bulging out of every... But where you should
Every
be bulged.
button.
Every button. A lot of good bulge going on there. And yes, Luke, thanks for noticing. I am wearing my Three Musketeers outfit. Have a guess which one I am out of the Three Musketeers.
I don't know.
Athos.
Yeah,
I'm the chubby one.
I like to see that you've actually attached them like on either side of you, so you still have the Three Musketeers.
Yeah, the cardboard cutout over here.
Yeah.
I've got D'Artagnan. Who's the other one? Philip. Dave. And that is, of course, tradition here at F1 Podcast. We have to wear the native traditional outfit, the costume of the featured race. And the next featured race is France. But before we get to France, although we are wearing our French gear, we need to say, Luc, bonjour, comment ça va?
From
Firstly,
French Canada.
From French Canada. Slightly different accent, I think. Not that I would know. Let's talk about Canada because... briefly, it was pretty boring, Luke.
It was quite dull. And for a race that starts at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's tough to keep the old eyes open.
Yeah. Did you feel like you'd wasted your time when you woke up at... Did you have a cat nap before you got up for the race?
I did have a nap before the race, but I stayed up throughout the race.
Dedicated.
Yeah, I did. Very dedicated.
You did nod off?
Not one bit.
Not one bit?
No. I was enthralled.
You could watch anything, though.
Yeah. Anything with 4 wheels and an engine.
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
You love it.
Yeah. Le Mans 24 hours was a long...
That's a long 24 hours.
Every time I kept tuning in, Fernando wasn't in the car. And the time I did go to bed, then he jumped in the car.
Fernando, we'll touch on that a little bit later on. Fernando winning Le Mans. That is awesome. Let's talk about Canada very quickly, though. Give us a quick little rundown of the Canadian Grand Prix. Anything exciting happen?
Canada.
Our home and native land, true patriot lie, and all our sons command.
The maple syrup is oozing out of you right
Thank you
now.
very much.
So lap 1 was a bit of a schmozzle, bit of argy-bargy from the lumberjack Lance Stroll.
Yeah.
That could be what he's called since he's from Canada.
Yep, the paid driver.
The pay driver, Richie Rich, into Brendan Hartley. He got a little bit of a wiggle. Brendan was going around the outside. Now, I must admit, when I saw Brendan go around the outside, I'm like, that's a good move. Esteban Ocon did the exact same move to Hulkenberg at that start.
Yeah.
They were a few places ahead of them. Ocon pulled it around around the outside of that one. I'm like, that's a good move.
He's going to stick it.
And then Hartley, he was there. He was going to stick it. Lance got a little bit of wiggle on and put him on and up the wall. Race over.
Gotta feel sorry for him.
Lance Stroll, he's great at starts.
No, don't feel sorry for Lance. I feel sorry for Hartley.
I feel sorry for Lance.
Nobody feels sorry for a multi-billionaire kid that's been thrown in there thanks to his dad, but Hartley.
I feel sorry that he's a dickhead. But
Yeah.
Hartley, I do feel sorry for, not just because he's a New Zealander. I like him because of that.
Yeah.
But he's just not getting the rub of the green.
It's just every bad bit of luck seems to be heading his way.
Yeah. I think someone's put a curse on his car. I think maybe for the French Grand Prix, he gets some kind of...
He's going to get a break.
...voodoo person to go over the car to
Yep.
release the curse of whatever's
Some sort of medicine man. Some
in
kind
that
of...
Toro Rosso.
What the hell?
Is that Sebastian?
Is that Sebastian Vettel? Wait, let me just...
Straight on spot.
Yeah, hang on, let me just answer this.
Yeah.
Sebastian, is that you?
Yeah, hi. Hi, guys. What's going on? Just wondering when you're just going to do the podcast. It's a cute little podcast.
We're doing it now, Sebastian.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, guys. Hope I didn't interrupt you. Ha!
Yeah, bye, Sebastian.
See you, mate. Sorry about that.
Christ.
What a time to call. I said, don't call. We're doing the podcast,
Like, it's a
Sebastian.
good time for him. It's 2:00 in the afternoon. He's probably
perfect.
just doing a track walk.
Yeah.
But for us, we're in the middle of a podcast here, Sebastian.
Sorry, Sebastian. We'll get back to you later, mate. There's more important things.
I think he was concerned that we hadn't put the podcast out yet. So that was maybe what his concern was. And
It's like, I haven't seen it turn up yet on iTunes or
Yeah.
Podbean. When is it arriving? I get it. Just hang on.
very
We'll
sorry.
get there. We'll
We've
get
had a
there.
bit of the nose drip syndrome.
There's been some illness in the
Has been,
ranks.
in both the ranks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wiped us both out.
It sure did. So, but we're fully fit now, Sebastian. Thanks for your concern.
We're pinging off the walls.
And highly drugged up to the max. And we promise we'll get that podcast out to you ASAP, Sebastian. So,
We talked to him later too.
yeah, we are going to talk to him again. An earlier recording from after the race.
Yes.
This is him calling now. That's just him wanting to catch up. That's just him wanting to find out what Luke's doing.
He's so keen.
He goes, "What's Luke wearing?"
You notice I didn't want to say too much.
Yeah.
Because, I just don't tell him I'm not here.
Yeah. Is Luke on the sofa again? Yes, he is.
Yes.
What's he wearing? All right. Sorry, continue.
So yeah, Lance and Hartley out.
Gutted.
Yeah, it was. It was a good crash. It was quite impressive. But Stroll put himself out of his misery because he was saying after Monaco, I didn't see the point in us racing. So fuck it. Lap one. I'll just bin it. Get to go home early.
If you don't see the point in racing, don't get Daddy to donate $200 million to Williams. Save your cash. Go buy
Figures may
something
not be real.
nice.
Yeah. Alonso retired from the Grand Prix. And Sergio and Sainz had a little bit of a tangle into turn one. Other than that, there's not much else going on.
That's about it.
That was the Canadian Grand Prix.
That was the Canadian Grand Prix.
Sebastian did what he always did at Red Bull. Started from pole, took off, won quite easily. It's what he does best. If you ask Mark Webber, what's he do best?
He
Goes
stays
out
in the
front,
lead.
controls the pace, manages his tyres, wins the race. He's very good at it.
He's good at that.
If it's a little bit further
If that's
back,
what you like,
yeah.
if you don't like overtaking or exciting race, he's your guy.
Yeah, Daniel did it so well the previous race, even with a few issues. But yeah, Sebastian did what he won 4 World Championships doing, getting out front and staying there.
Yeah. That was pretty much it.
It was his 50th win. He's now in the championship lead by un point.
Oh, wow, that's close. That is
1
really
point
close.
for those people who don't speak French. And of course, there was a little bit of controversy at the end.
Ah, the flag.
Yes.
Flag waving.
Yes, there was an unauthorized person who was authorized to wave the flag, but
Yep.
was told to wave the flag too soon. So it's premature flag waving.
Wasn't her fault.
We've always had we understand premature flag waving. It has happened before.
Yep.
Pele's done it before in the Brazilian
did.
Grand Prix.
He did.
He peaked too soon.
Yeah.
Someone who actually used to do erectile dysfunction had peaked too soon. But yeah, unfortunately, the race ended. I think it was a lap and a half or 2 laps before. So the fastest lap that Daniel Ricciardo did
Didn't count.
on the last lap doesn't count.
Unbelievable.
So he misses out on another fastest lap.
So was it the fault of surely there's an official standing right next
Yes.
to this girl saying, okay, now, wave it now.
Wave it.
So that's the dude
Yeah.
whose hand will
it's
roll.
their fault.
It's their fault.
Yeah.
So we can't blame the poor girl.
No,
She
not
had
at
no
all.
idea.
No, not her fault at all.
No.
She told, wave it, and she goes, I'll wave the flag. I've been
Yep.
told to wave it. I'm going to wave it now. She doesn't know what lap it is.
Yeah.
She does
She's not
I
counting.
asked her pre-race, do you like Formula? No, not really.
No.
But hey, you get a chance that every fan would actually love to do. You're going to wave that checkered flag.
Yep. And then be in trouble for waving it at the wrong time.
They set her up, didn't they?
Sure
Like,
did.
she didn't say she liked F1. Let's make a
Yeah.
mockery out of her.
Nice.
Those cunning Liberty bastards.
And ruined Dan's fastest lap.
They did.
Very convenient. So championship lead, how do we look?
Championship lead, Sebastian Vettel by 1 point over Hamilton. Bottas, Daniel, Kimi, Max. So that's Fingerboy, Douche Canoe, the other Finn, the personality, last lap, and Mad Max. They're the top 6, and the rest don't really count. There's still
Okay.
2 drivers on 0 points.
Are we thinking that it's now a 2-horse race? Is that the consensus, or would you consider Bottas and Dan still in the mix to potentially, are they within striking range?
I see Bottas will play second fiddle.
Yeah, so reasonably thinking, you would think that Bottas is not in title contention. Dan, although he is a point or 2 behind, still has a chance because he's driving a different car than
Yes.
Hamilton.
Yes.
So Dan is still a potential chance, but
Yeah.
it's essentially
There's a long way to go still.
we're only a third, about a third the way through.
A turd, as the
A
Irish would
great
say.
big giant turd the way
A
through.
turd of the way through you.
And that was a turd of a race.
Oh, that
We've
was
had a couple.
big steaming Canadian turd.
Just
We need an Irish driver so I can
we
do
do,
this.
don't we? That's really good. But just when you thought like the racing was getting better, we had some rippers. China. Colin. Well, Monaco was pretty good, if you like Dad. It was.
You're picking out the 2 races Daniel Ricciardo won.
Yeah. Okay. Is that bad?
No,
Maybe.
Not at all.
But then we've had some shockers. We've had some, really
Baku was good.
boring.
China
Baku
was
was good. But we're back to the boring races. Is this going to be a common theme now, or are we just going to get some more exciting races back? I hope we are.
We will. I just think people just weren't taking a risk. Everyone's
Yeah.
conserving, and
Yeah.
when you've got 3 engines for the year, this was for Mercedes. This was their last engine before they change. Red Bull took upgrades. Honda took upgrades. Ferrari bought upgrades. Mercedes we'll wait for the next race. So they were pretty conservative. They didn't want to push their engine too hard. But it's down to the tyres. If the tyres don't give you what you want, then you can't do it because that's the only thing that's sticking to the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. The curse of the limitations of the engines only getting a certain number, plus the tyres not being great. It's not really conducive to great racing right now.
No,
unfortunately.
I think they should give them. Everyone's like, oh, give them 4 engines. No, give them like 6, 7, or 8. Give them a few.
Give them what they want so they can go fast.
Yeah, because I don't see the sport suffers when you penalise people for having an engine they have
And
no
you're
control
nursing
over.
an engine and you're not pushing it. No one wants to see that.
That's not motor
It's not
racing.
fun.
No.
So let's hand out some awards, Luke, because we are very generous at Effing One Podcast. We like to hand out awards. So let's put some names in lights and look at the very respected first award, which is the Green Award, celebrating the driver who considers the environment when racing, which I think is really nice. The smallest carbon footprint award. Who have you handed that out to for the Canadian Grand Prix?
I've given it to a team this week.
Oh,
Before it's been some drivers.
Because
you
Williams
think
has scored this a fair bit, haven't they?
they have. And guess what?
What?
They won it again.
You beauty!
Congratulations, Williams. Now, the reason why they win it is not only Lance Stroll going out in turn 6, I think it was, crashing, and that saved him a lot of fuel, but also Sergei Sorokin was 2 laps back. So that's 2 less laps he has to do.
Perfect.
It's like, I'm just going to save some fuel, save the environment. It's a beautiful message that Williams is sending out. Not great at racing,
But
but
environmental racing,
oh,
they're right up there.
they're doing it for the planet, and I'm so proud of them.
If you calculate that factor, Williams should be leading the World Championship.
They're leading the
environment-
championship in the Green Award.
in the Green Award.
Yep.
So,
The Green Championship in F1.
yep.
Congratulations,
well done, guys.
Williams.
Well done, Williams. You're bringing Williams back to greatness again.
Great heights.
Great
Great
heights.
green heights.
So we've got another award. This is the award that every driver desperately wants to win, Lucas. The UGE Day Award.
Well said.
The Waste of Time Award. Who wasted our time completely turning up to Canada?
Well, I think we just covered them in the green
You
award.
will, yes.
But Williams wins it
Oh,
again.
you beauty. Oh, back to back.
They're just raking it in. They're going to
They're
need more
good.
than 2 arms for these awards that they're winning this year.
So good.
Yeah, Williams, they turned up. They got no points, and
They're rubbish.
yeah, they're dismal.
Man,
it's
haven't
really
times
poor.
changed?
Wow, yeah, you go back 20 years.
Far out.
These guys were winning championships and being close to championships.
Ever since Bottas left, it's kind of been, since they went for that new strategy of paid driver policy only.
Let's get rid of Massa, and let's bring in 2
Yeah.
genuine rookies. Like, yeah, Lance did a year,
Yep.
but let's...
We've got a really good Polish driver that's not doing anything. We'll leave him in the garage.
Yeah. So we'll
get
got-
these 2 paid drivers out there.
So what they had is you've got a Russian pay driver, you've got a Canadian pay driver. Yes, they've won races. Sergei Sorokin's won races in GP2. Lance Stroll was GP3 champion. These guys can race, but I don't think they're up to this standard. They're not up to this level.
No.
This is Formula One. Now, with Formula One, you need experience. You need
and
to...
Sergey Sorokin is getting better.
He is.
He started out pretty bad, but he's getting better.
Yeah, he's getting better. And I think the same with Leclerc. Leclerc wasn't that great at the start of the season, but now he's leaps and bounds. He's realised where his shortcomings were and he's improved. Sergey will also do the same thing. But they've got 2 guys who are relatively inexperienced in a team that needs direction. That
And
needs
experience.
Yeah, that needs to go, you know what, guys? With my previous 10 years experience in another team, I think we
Let's
should do
develop
this
a
and
car.
this. But
Yep.
in that case, it's not happening. They've got smart people like Rob Smedley and Paddy Lowe in places of engineering capabilities they have, but they're so far from the mark. It's ridiculous.
So with an experienced driver, that's going to help them out no end.
Yeah,
It's not happening.
it's not.
So let's hand out another award, the F1 Podcast Award for making F1 great.
This doesn't go to Williams.
Because this is actually an award that is a good award
Yeah.
for doing something good.
We had a terrible race.
It was
we
pretty
had
boring.
a dull
Luke.
race. So, like when we get a dull race, do you know who it goes to?
Us?
You and me.
You.
We are the only things that is making F1 great again post Canadian Grand Prix.
Damn right.
Pat yourself on the back.
Thank
Adam.
you, mate.
Well
Good
done.
job to you,
You're doing
sir.
a super job.
Well done. You really tackled the Canadian Grand Prix beautifully. The way you sat there for an hour and a half without falling asleep.
Yeah.
You basically, I was sleeping.
Without
I'm gonna
the
be
use of
honest. I had to
caffeine.
work the next morning.
You do. I don't have a job.
You held us up. This is your award, mate.
Thank you.
I'm not taking any of this. You sat through an entire, at 3 o'clock in the morning, one of the most boring races of all time, and you didn't nod off once.
Not once.
No.
No. I even watched the hour show afterwards before going to bed.
You are making F1 great again, my friend.
I need to write this stuff down. I need to know this stuff. So when I talk to you people and when you're listening, I've actually got some legitimate facts, not
Yeah.
all made up.
No, I know.
Yeah.
Not just Googling or listening to some other
So
podcast.
we making F1 great again.
Correct. Well, you. Now, the Pastor Maldonado Award for, this is probably my favourite award, Dangerous Driving. Mad Max. Does he feature in this? He doesn't. He actually had a pretty clean
He
race.
had a great weekend. He had a really solid weekend, and props to him.
Yep.
But there's only one man. We've mentioned him once. We've mentioned his team twice.
Does his dad bring a lot of money
His
to the
dad
team?
brings quite a bit
Quite
of
a little
money.
bit of cash. It was his home Grand Prix.
Home Grand Prix, and he just drove.
And Jacques Villeneuve's not a big fan.
Oh no,
Hasn't
Jacques Villeneuve's not a fan of anything.
He's a weird guy.
He's odd.
What's wrong with Jacques?
I don't rate him. I'm sorry.
He got a bit lucky. When he won that.
He went into a very good team.
Championship.
He's won Indy 500
Yep.
in his first attempt when he was in Champ Car or IndyCar,
Yep.
and he got
Walked
into Williams.
Walked into it, got a...
Nearly won the World Championship in his first attempt.
Yeah.
Damon got it, and then he got it in '97. But yeah, it's Lance Stroll.
It's Lance.
Lance for doing the Pastor Maldonado.
Beautiful.
You're not going past me, Hartley.
I'm just going to swear.
Not in this corner, son.
Poor old Hartley. Yeah. And our last award today we're giving out is the Lick It and Send It Award for Best Overtaking Move.
Now, there was some good battles out there.
Not a great deal of overtaking.
There was good battles. Like if you look at in the past couple of Grand Prix, Leclerc and Alonso have had some really good battles.
Yep.
It's a shame that McLaren is battling with a Sauber, but the Likert Ascended Award for the Canadian Grand Prix goes to Esteban Ocon. Esteban Ocon for the move that he made on lap 1 around the outside of Nico Hülkenberg to jump him into the same corner that Hartley tried. And yeah, made it stick. It was a beautiful move.
He's a good driver.
Opportunistic. And you don't see moves happen there. And everyone was saying that, Hartley was a bit optimistic going for that move. You know, Hartley should know better. Ocon just did it like 3 seconds before that.
Yep.
Cut the guy some slack. The guy tried to make a move, and if it wasn't for old Pasta Maldonado Lance Stroll, may have had the mood stuck.
He's a bit of a talent. He's got a bit of talent there.
Old Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, he does. Fastest lap. Well, it's not going to go to Dan because that flag was waved a bit too early, unfortunately for Dan. Who gets the fastest lap?
Our teammate. Fastest lap, Max Verstappen.
The headbutter.
F1's driver of the day was Sebastian Vettel. And the fastest pit stop went to Sauber. Fastest pit stop was a 2.37. And the second and third place was a 2.51 seconds, both of them exactly the same time from exactly the same team, Red Bull Racing.
Really?
2.51 seconds exactly.
Wow.
To both teams. Both Red Bull, second and third.
There's no favoritism in that team.
Not at all.
No first driver,
Don't
second
even
driver.
get a tenth or a thousandth of a second. No.
There you go.
We're going to change your tyres at the exact same time.
Did you happen to see that crazy pit character that is responsible for everything that goes bad in Formula One? Broken legs in Ferrari, all sorts of weird and wonderful things that happens in the pit lane. It's always Terry.
No lost wheels, no loose wheels.
Did you see Terry?
No one broke a leg. I didn't see Terry. I don't think he made the journey over to Canada.
He must have had the hay fever like us. Had to sit it out.
Had the lurgy.
That's why we didn't see. That's why there was no stuff-ups.
We might see Terry in France. It's a European race.
Look, I hope so, because he does spice things up a little bit, doesn't he,
does.
Terry? He makes pit stops interesting,
Good for
Terry.
the weekend. Like, where is he?
He's a character.
There
Can
he
you
is.
spot him? Can you spot him?
Massive moustache.
Where's Wally? Excuse me, my voice just got a bit weird there. Excuse me, I'm still suffering a little bit. My apologies. We did actually have a chat to Sebastian Vettel. He did call us a moment ago just to check in to see where this podcast is going to be put on iTunes and Podbean. But he chatted to us just after the race, Skyped in, and you had a chance to have a chat with him. He is a big fan of yours.
He did, and I'm thankful that this week it was on Skype because he won the race and he gets a bit excited post-race. He likes to stick that finger where it may not be required.
Damn, he's got some old wandering hands.
He does.
Wandering hands, Sebastian.
So yeah, this is my my chat with Sebastian.
Cool. Let's play it. Hit the button.
Hey, hi, look, what's going on? Can you see me? I'm waving. I'm on Skypeys. I'm on the Skype. Hello.
Yeah, just pretending there's a bit of a international delay there, Sebastian. How are you going? You won the race. Congratulations.
Hey, thanks very much. Look, by the way, you look so great on the TV. Look so. Hey, what's your little podcasty thing called again? What's this?
It's called the Effing One podcast.
Sure, whatever. I don't care. I don't listen to it anyway. By the way, you're so much cuter than the other guy who does a podcast with. He's just uber gross, man.
Oh, he's a pretty man.
Really?
Yeah. I think he is.
I think you're fantastic, by the way.
Thank you very much, Sebastian.
Your beard
I really
looks great,
appreciate
by
it.
the way.
I trimmed it just for you. I
Really?
thought I've got a nice little Skype call. I'll trim it up because
Jesus.
I feel safe.
I can't wait to get my hands on you again. When we're in the same room together. Anyway, so you've got. Hey, have you got a racing question for me, please?
How did you see the race?
I saw it from the front. I was in the front the whole way. It's what I do. I'm really good at it.
No one seemed to come close to you at all.
No, not really. I just like to drive and I say, hey guys, come and catch me. Ha 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 ha. And nobody can. So I mean, there's a Ferrari. It's good. We're doing good jobs at the moment. We're doing nice pit stoppers. And we're just staying in front of everybody. And Hamilton, he was struggling a little bit. He was a little bit further back. So generally speaking, we're really happy here at Ferrari, yeah.
Now you're leading the championship by 1 point.
I know. Jesus Christ. It's amazing, yeah?
Yeah.
Das is awesome. I was so far behind, but now I'm pretty confident. I think I can probably win this year. What do you think, Luke? Do you think I can win it?
You're looking good.
Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, it's good to see you got rid of a haircut as well.
Yeah, I just cut it much shorter now.
But yeah, my Skype money's about to run out, so I need to go.
Okay. So, look, you call me. I call you maybe later just to see what you're doing. If you're on the sofa, what you're wearing on the sofa.
You don't need to do that. It's okay. I'll call you post French Grand Prix.
Okay, no worries. Okay, bye, Lucky. See you. Bye.
Bye, Sebastian.
That was good. That was good, Luke. Feel like there's he's calmed down a little bit. He's not so handsy
I
anymore.
feel very safe at this distance.
Definitely Skype is the way to go.
I think it is.
We can't have
Do you want to
one-on-one.
go to a race, Luke? No. All right. I want to see the race, but I know what's going to happen.
I'm just going to bump into Sebastian again, aren't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to see an F1 race, I can kind of take it.
Yeah. One thing you are good at, Luke, and that's taken from Sebastian. So now let's look at the next race. That's Canada wrapped up.
Bye, Canada. Au
Bye-bye.
revoir.
Thank God, Canada. We're not going to miss you that much. Let's move on to the French Grand Prix. Paul Ricard,
Yep.
the track. This is a track that we've not been to. Formula One's not visited in a long time.
No. So it's been since 1990 was the last Formula One race at Paul
1990.
Ricard. The last French Grand Prix was 10 years ago. It was won by, I think it was Massa. Raikkonen
Yep.
and Trulli came third. 10 years ago.
Why not many cores? What's
Manicours is in an area called Nevers, I don't know, with a French accent. Nevers. They'll never
Sounds
go
about
there
right.
again.
yeah?
But it is a great track. I love that track. But it was in the middle of nowhere. So
Yeah.
the crowd number was quite low. So
Right.
2008, I think the last one was. And they pulled the pin. But interesting, the last French Grand Prix, Alonso, Hamilton, Vettel, Raikkonen, and Kubica were racing back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Mm.
So this track, talk us through the track. Fast. It seems to have a little bit for everybody. There's straights. There's a lot of corners.
There's corners.
Big sweeping corners.
Much better than
There's a couple of tight ones.
most other tracks that don't have corners. This
Corners
does.
is good.
This has a whole plethora of corners. It's got 15 corners.
Yeah. I like the corner. What's that number? 11? 11 seems interesting. Like 11, 10, 11, 12. It's
11 looks like it's very China.
yeah.
A
it does
long wraparound
look-
corner.
You'd think that would favour Red Bull. Good aero.
Through that, through
corners?
the last section, definitely.
And then you've got some straights that obviously will favour your Mercedes and Ferrari.
Yeah. But yeah, so this has 15 corners. It's a 5.842 kilometre track. The last race was 1990. The first race was in 1971. And I'm actually going to pair this with my Effing what?
Oh.
Effing what?
Well, let's do that now. Effing what? Give us some Paul Ricard.
So this is about Paul Ricard. So Paul Ricard, first race was in 1971. It was built in 1969. It was first F1 race. It was won by Sir Jackie Stewart in 1971.
Jackie Stewart.
The last Grand Prix there, 1990, it was deemed to be too outdated for F1.
Back in
1990. 1990, so the start of the 21st century. New owners transformed it to the HTTT, which is the high-tech test track.
Ah.
They basically got rid of all of the gravel
Yep.
and they put in a whole bunch of concrete.
Right.
So the idea is if you're going to push the cars, it's not going to crash into the gravel, damage the car, go into a wall. It's just going to run wide, and they put abrasive patches of concrete on the runoff. So as to
reds.
naturally slow the car down.
Because it's
So-
quite colourful off the racing line, off the track. So you've got the blue,
Yep.
which is nothing.
It's slightly abrasive.
Is it slightly abrasive?
Slightly
And then the red is like razor blades. That's there to cut your tyres right up. Don't go on the red stuff.
It's more to just give the car a little bit of grip so it doesn't slip over or crash into a wall. It's to slow the cars down.
Yeah. So if you're on that red stuff a fair bit, is that going to mince up your tyres?
If you're on the red stuff, you're on a fair way off the track because they've given you a lot of room to make mistakes. And the idea of that is so that when people were testing in the 2000s to just go hell for leather. If you run wide, you're not going to lose a wheel. You're not going to lose parts. You're just going to run a little bit wide, and it's just going to slow you down.
So it's a good test track, but not necessarily a race track. I mean, there's
No.
not much of a test if you're able to come off your line and go flying off. You make a huge mistake, and there's no penalty.
A lot of the new tracks, like Abu Dhabi, have this severe runoff, and they still have those blue painted stripes you see in Abu Dhabi. It was also turned into a multi-configuration track. It now boasts 167 possible track configurations. So from down to 800 meters to over 5.9 Ks.
So would it look like...
So you want more Monaco-style corners, you want more flowing fast corners. You can actually configure the tracks to shorten it here or here, like in different segments.
So when you look at the track, you can't actually tell where the racetrack is because there's so many possible options.
Yeah.
You don't know where you're going.
Yeah, and they can, I think that back in the day they could artificially, I think they had sprinklers that they could artificially wet the track. So if you're doing a wet weather
If
test.
you're going the wrong way, they wet you. They say go back, go the other
super
way.
soakers.
No, a huge arrow goes, go back that way, like in Mario Brothers, Mario
back
Kart.
that way.
Yeah, you go the wrong way.
There was the last time F1 raced at Paul Ricard, there was 35 cars entered. 35. We have
35
20.
cars.
There's 35 entered, including cars powered by a W12 engine. So that's basically two V6s put together to make a W12, and V12s. And a flat 12. The full grid of 26 cars started because they had 26 grid spots. So those 35 cars had to make it into the top 26, a bit like Bump Day in Indy 500. They had 35 cars that had to be 33.
Yep.
But in the last race there, it was 35 cars entered, but only 26 could race. So they all had to qualify within a certain time to get into those 26 grid places. And we had 18 finishes.
So if you didn't qualify, you just sat out.
You go home.
You didn't go.
You could watch it.
You just turn up for qualification. That's it.
Yeah. Sometimes I remember when I started watching F1, there was a 107% qualification rule. If you didn't make it within 107% of the pole time, you were technically not quick enough to race in F1. So off you trot. Super Aguri went there to Melbourne, and they were nowhere near the 107% mark, so they went all the way to Melbourne for nothing. They would have got their own UGE award, who, funnily enough, was driving for Super Aguri. So the full grid of 26 cars started, 18 finishes, was quite high back then.
Yep.
And the podium had a V12, a V8, and a V10.
Wow.
Yeah, so how much has F1 changed now?
Hasn't it just?
Yeah. No more massively sort of engineering feats. It's like, you got to fit your car into this small box.
Yeah,
I would like to see them open it up and say,
Regulations.
you guys want to do an V10? Do a V10.
Do whatever you like.
But now, we're a 1.4 litre V6.
Like
Everyone's got a 1.4 litre V6.
It's like the America's Cup of Formula One. Do whatever you want. Just do whatever you want.
That's
Bring
it.
whatever you want to the
So
table.
I found that an effing what part, where it was the last time there was a podium at Paul Ricard, a V12, a V8, and a V10 on the podium.
Is effing
What?
what?
So a good bit of diversity. And I think that's what F1 needs
The
again.
good old days. Making F1 great again. Do we just go back to those days where you can just chuck whatever you want racing on the track? I like it.
There'll be 53 laps of the race, hopefully, unless someone waves the flag prematurely.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got some F1 news.
F1 news. What have you got for us?
You've been reading up as well.
I
Our
have.
Pre-podcast
Gee,
chat.
there is some interesting, groundbreaking news that may have a flow-on effect for certain driving seats next year.
So Renault have poached a Mercedes engine designer,
Yes.
which is a massive thing for them. And interesting that after that, it's come that Red Bull has gone with Honda. So both Renault and Honda brought in engine upgrades to Canada. Red Bull got the data from both of them, of course, and they made the decision based on that to go with Honda for next year.
So Red Bull they've got the luxury of taking a look at both the Renault and the Honda. Of course, they've got Toro Rosso using the Honda. And have they just done some calculations on the performance of that Honda compared it to the Renault? And then they're judging, using that as a judge for the future to say, okay, well, Honda's improved more. Their upgrade is that much better than Renault's. That's where we're going to take the future for Red Bull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they've done.
Yeah.
So they've seen they know how much downforce is being created by the Toro Rosso, so they know what the engine's actually putting out. And they were impressed by what Honda's
That's pretty clever of
upgrade
Red Bull to do that, to have both the engines, so then you can just kind of just play them off each other and choose.
That's what Canada was always going to be about. And with what Gasly had a brand new engine in for him, and he did a decent job to get into the point, I believe. So yeah, I think it's good. But I think everyone's a bit like, oh, Honda, you know, they weren't great with McLaren. Basically, McLaren said to them, look, you've got this is what we need you to fit your engine into.
Yeah.
And Honda's like, well, that's not how we want to design the engine.
Yeah.
Like, no, you got to fit it in this. It didn't work out. Where Toro Rosso's gone, design your engine, boys, and we'll...
You have freedom to do what you will. We will just make it work.
And I think Red Bull will be quite open
Can
to
they
it,
be as
but
open?
we know how tight Adrian Newey likes to package his cars. Like, you look at the rear end of that Red Bull and it's narrow, it's tight. And
Yeah. Could that be a problem?
I don't think it will be. I think if Honda are giving them a good enough engine, they'll figure out a way to move radiators around or get around the issue of if the engine is a little bit obscure or from what they're used to. But if they're going to pump out some power, then I think they're on a good horse. The interesting is only for 2 years, because come 2021,
the new regulations come in.
So it kind of is erroneous. Not many teams will be developing an engine all the way through 2020.
Yep.
It'll be sort of, we'll develop it for maybe the third of the year, and then that's it. They'll all stop developing because they've got their 2021 engines to develop, and they're not going to be focusing on continually. Like, there'll probably be one team that'll continue to do it.
Is it a bit of a gamble though when you've only looking 2 years until the next regulations kick in? Can Honda really become a title contender in that 2 years if they're just developing and they're just getting now up to Renault's
I think
level?
you're seeing with you look at McLaren, like, we've got the best chassis. Like, you look at us in the microsectors around the circuit, that we've got the best car. No, you don't.
No, they did.
You've just put a Renault in the back of your car.
Yeah.
And you're nowhere near Red Bull. And I
Yep.
think Renault were upset that Red Bull didn't stay with them, because Red Bull was their benchmark.
Yeah.
So for Renault, they're like, we can see how good they are, or we can see how strong they are. I think Renault could do well in the next year or two, purely based on they've done some big signings and poached some important people.
Yep.
Whether it was the gentleman from the FIA as a technical delegate, they got him early in the year. His gardening leave should be over soon.
And it's not like they're designing to win right now. They're kind of looking at next year. They're already looking at next year. They're not too concerned about, which is not good for Red Bull right now.
Yeah.
They're looking at next year and the following year to do really well. So that could be quite strong for Renault, couldn't it?
It could be. And I don't know how long Mercedes can stay where they are with, I think, how good Renault's development will be. So yeah, I'm actually really interested to see if Nico Hülkenberg or Carlos Sainz, if he stays there, if Ricciardo stays at Red Bull.
So that's another thing we'd have to talk about. How does this
What should we
affect
talk about?
Dan Ricciardo? Now that they're going to Honda, does that change his way of thinking? Is that the deal breaker that he now thinks that he has to leave? Or does it make him want to re-sign that Hondas?
I think no matter what happens and where the choices are for him, he wants to go to Ferrari.
It does seem that way, doesn't it?
Because Ferrari has the best car and the best engine. Now, does Ferrari want to have two number one drivers? Or do they want to have what they've had since the Schumacher days? Do they want a number one and a number
Do they
two?
know how to have equal pairing, equal number one drivers?
Never. Not since
that's a problem.
Schumacher joined Ferrari. This is someone who's... But if you want to win a constructor's title as well as your driver's title, you need a decent driver. And I think Mercedes is going to keep both their drivers. I can't see Bottas leaving. He's done a decent job. He did great in Canada. He should have won 2 races this year if it wasn't for the safety car in China, and if it wasn't for his puncture in Baku. I think he would have won those 2 races, and the championship would be a little bit different. But yeah, it's very interesting. I think Daniel, if he can't go to Ferrari, he'll stay Red Bull.
Yeah.
And that means Sainz will stay at Renault, and I think Alonso will go to IndyCar.
Yeah, it does seem like that.
Yeah.
It certainly does seem like that. And you don't think that...
I think Fernando wants to win, and you see him that he's won in Le Mans.
Well, he knows that he can't beat Hamilton and Sebastian with their 4 world titles. He's not going to get that far. So he's got to think outside the box.
Well, he's not going to win the car that he's in.
No.
If he went back to Ferrari, maybe. I think I would love to see him go back to Ferrari.
Yeah.
And Kimi Räikkönen going back to Ferrari after years at Lotus, it's not something that they haven't done before, where they've brought someone back into their team. But
Alonso's thinking, what can I do differently? Let's go the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Let's go something that only one, did you say one other person's done before?
Yep. Damon's dad,
Damon. Graham Hill. And that is to win Monaco, Le Mans, and Indy 500.
That's correct.
Is that right? Only one other person's done that? Did Nigel Mansell, he won the Indy 500, didn't he? And the Formula One Grand Prix. He mustn't have won Le Mans. Anyway, very interesting.
Juan Montoya's won the Indy 500 twice,
Okay.
and he's also won the Monaco Grand Prix.
Right.
So he was in Le Mans last week, but he was in a division down.
Yeah.
So it's generally you have to win Le Mans overall, not just your class. So you could go to a GTE, which is like a Porsche, like a normal Porsche Carrera or a 911 or whatever they are, normal road car that's made into a race car. But LMP1 is your prototype cars. LMP2 is another prototype, but it doesn't have the high end.
Right.
And Toyota, pretty much, it was theirs to lose because there was no Porsche, there was no Audi, but they still had to get through the whole race. They didn't have any massive
It
issues.
was a pretty good time to sit in that car and win Le Mans. He picked a good time.
Yeah.
A good year.
A good year, and he had some good drivers, Sebastian Buemi and Kazuki Nakajima, both drivers who used to drive
Formula
in
One
F1. Nakajima used to drive for Williams, and Sebastian Buemi with Toro Rosso. And yeah, he jumped in the car, and Sebastian Buemi got a penalty for... They have slow zones, so if a car's crashed or spun off, they, like our virtual safety car, you have to go slow. You've got like a minimum speed.
Yep.
You have to go through there. Everyone, it's like a pit limit. They just go at like 60 through this zone. Apparently, Sebastian Buemi sped through that area. He got a minute penalty, I think it was. So he comes into the pit lane, stops for a minute, and then they go. So they were behind. The number 7 car was ahead of Alonso's car. Alonso did a stint at night. I think he did a 2.5-hour stint, and he got the gap down from 2 minutes down to 45 seconds.
Yeah, wow.
So he just smashed out
Nice.
the laps and closed the gap big time, and he did a really good job. And I think everyone was quite impressed that he's just put the foot down and going, yeah, I'm going to do this.
And we're thinking that he's gone next year.
Yeah,
Indy 500?
He wants to win.
Go to Indy.
That's what he wants. He's not going to win in a McLaren next year.
No.
He's not.
He's given up. It's a shame.
He's
a big loss.
He may
Big
go
loss.
to IndyCar for a year and then come back.
Yep.
But he wants to win again, and he's not going to be. He doesn't want to be in a team that's not going to win, and it's kind of. I think it's just hurting him that he just. And this Le Mans, he's like, this is fun. I like winning. He's winning the WEC championship. He'll do the entire championship for
Blow some steam off.
Yeah,
The steam that he's building up in F1.
he'll go to
Yeah,
IndyCar and
frustrating.
he'll do a very, very good job.
And you think Kimi stays or goes with Ferrari? He's got to go, doesn't he?
You'd think so.
He's hopeless.
It's
Plus,
just,
he's not allowed to win.
if he's okay with being second fiddle, which
It's not that he's hopeless. It's just that his team doesn't allow him to do anything.
That's it.
They leave him out there with old tyres just to slow the other guys down. It's just
he's a pawn.
he's a pawn.
Is he happy with being a pawn and getting paid
He's a good driver.
decent money? And
He's
if,
driven quite
if he's
well.
happy doing that, then fine. If he's not happy, then he'll leave, but I don't think he will. So I think it's going to be status quo with Mercedes and Ferrari. I would like Ferrari to spice it up. I would love Ferrari to either sign Daniel or Leclerc.
Yeah.
I think Leclerc has proven that he's good enough.
And
it'll
get rid of the number one.
I would just like to see
status.
someone young in Ferrari.
Yeah.
Give him
Yeah.
a crack.
And equal billing. No preferred driver. Just let him race.
I think if Leclerc out-qualifies him, then Sebastian will throw his toys out the pram and find a way out of Ferrari.
Yeah. Well, like when Dan rocked up to Red Bull.
Yep.
Got out of there real fast.
That's exactly what happened.
And that wraps up the F1 news. Speaking of Kimi not being happy, it is now time for At Home with Kimi.
I think I was off key.
No,
I think I'm always off key.
No, I think you made up for it.
I think we nailed whatever we sung before. I think we did a really good job of that.
We did.
But
Yeah,
that
one wasn't our best work.
wasn't.
So, Kimi Räikkönen, we love the guy. He takes team orders. It's not his fault. He's a lovable Finn. What a personality. Loves vodka, loves having a good time. And we like to find out what Kimi's doing because he's just one of those guys. You want to know what's Kimi doing right now.
Yeah.
So let's find out what Kimi Räikkönen is doing right now. Now, do we have some suggestions from Effing One? That is the number one podcast Twitter page. We get suggestions from our listeners and we find out what Kimi's doing.
We have a suggestion from our Twitter army, and that suggestion is let's watch Kimi check out the last episode of Seinfeld.
A big fan of Seinfeld.
And let's watch and see how his reaction is towards the end of that last episode.
Yes.
So this is our At Home with Kimi as we tune in with Kimi at home watching the last episode of Seinfeld.
Right now.
Whoa. Oh, I love it. I love this show. Seinfeld. I love it. Last episode. Okay, here we go. Okay. Yes. Elaine. I love you, Lou. I love you, Elaine. Kramer. You're so crazy. Always hitting your head. George. I feel sorry for you all the time. I always feel sorry for you. Okay. Oh, they're in the jail. Oh, this is good. This is good. Oh, no, wait. No. No! It can't end like this. No. Seinfeld cannot end like this. I can't believe it. What happened? What happened to George? What happened to Kramer? Blah.
And that was
At
Home with Kimi. Yeah.
I didn't like that ending either.
I didn't like it. That was horrible. It was painful to watch him. Watch that last episode.
We just cut away just before he started sobbing. It was...
Big fan of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
It was a bit upset. It's a shame that Seinfeld ended like that.
There's a lot of shows that end terribly.
I know.
I just don't know how to end it.
Yeah. What's another episode that ended badly? Sopranos.
Sopranos. Just fade to black.
I wanted to know in that cafe what happens when they rock up. Those guys come in the cafe. You never know what happens.
Never know. We have one more thing.
Yes.
Because we've got a new Grand Prix, we have to make some predictions.
Yeah,
now, the predictions scoreboard, I would rather skip to it and let's just end the podcast now, but you have managed to step ahead.
Get out of town.
One more, by 2 more points. So you've gone from a 4-point lead to a 6-point lead.
You beauty.
He's quite happy with himself. And so now we have to do the predictions for the French Grand Prix at Paul Ricard.
Right. Okay.
So, Mercedes.
So just recapping, I am 6 points ahead of you.
Don't need to recap. It's okay.
I've gone
We've
from
moved
4
on.
to 6. Where was I looking quite strong? Where did I pick up my points in Canada? Go on. Go through your notes. Go on, Luke. I want you to find it. Circle it.
I think I threw that piece of paper.
Yeah, probably
out.
did. Looks like there's a lot of scribble on that page.
Yeah. There's a lot of profanities.
All right. I'll let you off the hook. You don't have to go through that.
Dog ate my homework.
Let's go through Mercedes and let's go. I'm going to say Hamilton because, well, no, Bottas is in good form, but I'm going to say Hamilton.
I'm going to say Bottas. I'm probably signing my own death
You're going to need to. See, now I think you're getting desperate because I'm 6 points ahead.
But Bottas in good form. Lewis is walking around with his lip dragging along the ground.
If the car's not perfect, he's not happy.
He's working on the bullshit meter.
Oh, perfect.
and the Wingemeter.
Yes.
And
Producer
he's
Pete.
halfway through it, and it looks good. I think we'll be able to pick up who's bullshitting.
Producer Pete, how's it going there? Producer Pete with the is it the wingeometer
Wingemeter?
and the winometer?
No, Wingemeter and Winemeter is the same. It's a bullshitometer.
Oh, the
People
bullshit.
took me bullshit, and then there's the wine like the Wingemeter
Yeah, which is mainly for Lewis Hamilton.
mainly.
Have you always finished that, Producer Pete?
That's a no.
He's watching the World Cup.
That's a no.
He's going to get to it as soon as Portugal and Morocco have finished this
For
game.
those of you listening who haven't watched the Portugal-Morocco game, at the 43rd minute, Portugal was up 1-0.
That'll mean nothing to you when you listen to this because
No.
it'll be well and truly over.
That's right.
But how badly were we ripped off? The Aussies.
Oh, wow.
We were ripped off. Those French. Wasn't their fault, but
No.
come on, that should have been a draw.
Should have at least.
We deserved a draw. We played really well. Yeah. Anyway, let's not talk about that right now. Let's
Back to predictions.
predictions.
Ferrari.
I'm going to say, well, there's only one option, Sebastian.
Sebastian.
Team orders. Poor old team orders.
Red Bull Racing.
Dan to finish ahead. Verstappen, the head butter, to qualify in front.
Oh.
Yeah. Dan's racecraft is far superior.
I'm going to Double Dan.
Double Dan.
Like those double Ds.
No, I like it. I like it.
Renault.
Renault. I'm going to have to say Hulkenberg.
As Murray Walker would say, it's a Renault.
Renault. Yeah, Hulkenberg for me.
Yeah, I'll go Hulk because I just like the man.
You do.
I got a man crush on him.
You do. You
I
always
wish
have.
I wish I had hair, let alone his hair. McLaren, the Fonz, and the Waffle.
Van Dorn. He's not good, is he?
Mind you, if you look at qualifying in Canada, Alonso is only 0.009, so 9 thousandths of a second faster than Waffle in qualifying. That was impressive. That's his best.
Waffle needs to be outdoing Alonso, I reckon, if he wants to cement that seat in Formula One. He needs to be beating Alonso.
So you're going the double Fonz.
double Fonzarelli for me, please.
I'm going to go Van Dorn for
Really?
qualifying,
Really?
and I'm going to go the Fonz for the race.
Wow.
Force India.
Force India.
Get it, India. The Pink Panther team. You've got Pepe Le Pew and the Tijuana and Tesla.
Yeah. I'm going to have to go the Tijuana Tussler for me. Thank
Tijuana
you.
Tussler.
Perez.
For both,
Yes, please. Perez for me.
I'm going to go Ocon because it's a French Grand Prix.
Home ground advantage.
Yep. So he's never raced there in a Formula 1 car before. So Pepe Le Pew, and then we go over to Sauber, the stay-at-home Viking, which screwed me.
Yeah, you had to tip it. You didn't have to.
I wanted to do the
warned
voice.
you.
That's all I wanted
I
to
know
do
you
it
did.
for.
I know you did.
But I'm
And
not doing it
I
again.
am going to go for... I am the Viking. I will peel myself off the sofa and get a half-decent score. Not quite a point, but I will beat my teammate. Yep,
So that's Ericsson.
that's Ericsson for me,
Okay, I
please.
wasn't sure.
Just
Over to the Harsholes.
the Harsholes.
Yeah, so we're going with the Frenchman Iman Grosjean, and on and on.
The Whinger. What a
Or
Whinger.
the Dane, who will be playing this week in the World Cup.
The
Kevin
Great
Magnussen.
Dane. Well, the Aussies are going to clearly
Suck
defeat,
my balls,
smash
Magnussen.
the Danes. We need to. We can't afford a draw. We need
can't.
to beat them to have any chance to go through the next round of the World Cup. So therefore, I am not going the Dane. Lock me in. Oops, sorry. Just hit the microphone.
So aggressive.
Very, very passionate. Lock me in for Grosjean and on, please.
I'm going to go with Suck My Balls. I don't care if it is a French Grand Prix. I think Grosjean will crash into someone or do burnouts or do something stupid.
You're a traitor. You don't want the Aussies to win against the Danes.
Oh, no. The soccer, I'm going for Australia,
Sure you
of
are,
course.
Luke. Sure you are.
But if I'm going between France and Denmark, I'm going to go for Denmark.
The Danes. Yeah, go the Vikings.
Toro Rosso, we have a Frenchman in the Gas Man, one of our big podcast
Or Hartley.
fans.
This is Hartley's moment.
This is Hartley. Hartley's time to shine.
He has a moment where he doesn't crash and do something... well, most of it hasn't been his fault, but this is his moment. Hartley for me.
I think the Gas Man will out-qualify,
Yes.
but the Flying Kiwi...
Come on. Come on,
The Kiwi kid
He deserves a bit of
will
luck.
get a good race finish.
Get in there, you good thing. He deserves it.
Williams.
Oh, God.
You've got
Well.
a choice. You've got the turd or the douche.
The turd or the vomit?
Turd sandwich or the douche canoe. You've got
Let's
Who's the lesser of two evils?
go the Russian. At least he's showing signs of something.
I'm going to
Sorokin.
also go with the Rusky.
Yeah.
So that's our predictions for the French Grand Prix.
Fantastic.
The first French Grand Prix in 10 years. I'm excited to see it at Paul Ricard. A former test track now turned back into a Grand Prix racetrack with some stands on it.
Yeah. Let's hope that it brings good racing, good overtaking, and a great spectacle. Fingers crossed. I have my doubts.
You do?
A little.
I think it's a good track. It's got some nice fast sections. It's
there's a
got some
little-
slow corners before. So if you look at these corners and like the two main straights are followed by slow corners, which is always a good precursor.
That doesn't help
for
that you're pointing
overtaking.
to a screen and no one knows what you're doing right now.
No, they don't.
You mean the straights?
I love a visual on a
You
podcast.
do love a visual.
I do love a visual. So main straight down to turn 1, 2, nice, and some 90-degree corners. Then from exit of turn 7 down to turn 8, there's a DRS zone and some nice slow corners after
There's
that.
a
I think
little
they
bit for everyone.
will promote, and you've got slow corners coming on to these
Yep.
long straights. So I think it'll be good for F1.
Yep. There's some spots there you can see aero packages doing well. The Red Bulls, then you've got high speed. It's a bit of a mixed bag.
Yeah.
It's a mystery.
And before we wrap up, of
Yeah.
course, at the end of every podcast, we
Yeah.
have to mention my
Luke's
wonderful mother.
Mum. Luke's mum, you little sweetheart.
She's gone French all out.
Hasn't
It's
she gone?
pastries filled with cheese. We've got croissants. We've
Fromage.
got
She's got fromage.
baguettes.
Le baguette.
Yep.
Le pain de chocolat.
Yeah.
Le croissant. What is this? What is that? Is that what I think it is?
It is.
That's horse. That's horse meat. That's
Yeah.
cheval.
Yeah.
Tough. But the way your mum
It's
cooks
nice.
horse,
She puts in a slow cooker.
she does. And it
tender.
just melts. The meat falls off the bone. It's a big bone, like it's a big T-bone, but
It's like the Flintstones.
it's very tender the way. Wow. What else we got? Frog's legs?
They're frog's legs.
Garlic?
They are
It's-
toad's legs because we
So,
can't get a
yep.
lot of frogs here, so these are toad.
Toad.
Yeah.
We've got cane toad.
Queensland cane
Queen-
toad.
It doesn't quite have the same. It leaves a weird zingy sort of
But you
taste
get
on
a
your
bit
tongue.
of a buzz from it later
Get
on.
a buzz. Like a dog that licks a cane toad. You get that white frothy
Yeah.
thing in your mouth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's exactly what happens. So don't do too many, though. You got to drive home.
Yeah. 2?
Two.
Don't go more than
No
2.
more than two. Because
We'll have to take you to a
They
doctor.
test you. They breath test you to toad now. Queensland. Have you been licking toad again, sir?
Oh, God.
Maybe.
I'm high. I'm high on toad. Hey, mister. I'm high. What you been eating? I've been eating toad again.
You've been licking toads again, Adam.
Boy, you've been eating toad again. Oh, thank you, Luke's mum.
Thanks,
What a
Mum.
beautiful spread this is. Can't wait for Paul Ricard.
And
Let's
then
get into
we've
it.
got back to back to back. The first time we've had 3 Grand Prix in 3 weekends.
Yep.
So we will have the French Grand Prix, the Austrian Grand Prix, followed by the Great Britain Grand Prix.
And therefore, the Effing podcasts will in future be same format. We'll be doing the review and a preview in the one podcast.
That's right.
Make it nice and easy for us.
Yeah.
Let's get into
Smash
it.
it out.
Thank you very much,
Thanks
Luke.
for listening.
Effing podcast. Check us on the Twitter page and get hold of us for comments. Tell us what you like, what you don't like. Just say g'day. Effing the number 1 podcast Twitter page. Thank you, Luke. We'll see you soon. And
Thank you, Adam.
au revoir, my good man.
Au revoir.